Hello, my name is Malik Abazda. Welcome to PM Express. They are arguably the most vilified crop of Ghanaians today. I'm talking about the Black Stars. And yet, when they took to the pitch today, many millions watched. Are you still angry with the Black Stars, or they have done enough today to assuage your pain? I have a crack team of journalists who will join me discuss these when we come back from the break. You're welcome back. You're watching PM Express, and we are talking sports. It's a subject we don't treat frequently on this show, but today we have a crack team of journalists who will answer all your questions as to whether what you saw on the pitch today is a 9-day wonder, or we can have hope that at least for some time now, the Black Stars are going to give us something to smile about. I have Michael Oteji, celebrated sports journalist, and of course, our own Veronica Kome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to PM Express.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
I missed the opportunity to host you the last time on this show, and Gary took the honor. Welcome.
Thank you.
You watched the match, obviously.
I did.
Preliminary observations, how did it go for you?
For me, I think it's always down to the points. It's always down to winning. And it didn't quite matter that a lot of people thought we didn't glitter. Okay. At the end of the day, what's so important about playing very beautiful or fancy game and losing? For a long time, we keep saying that we are quite slow in terms of starting competitions, and beginning with all 3 points excites me. I feel that is something we truly can build on, and I'm waiting to see how we travel from here.
She's playing nice. How did it go for you? Is this another one-goal project?
I really don't mind if it's a one-goal project.
Okay.
My thinking goes along with hers. I think that you have to be clear in your mind what you want. Tournament football thrives on the points that you gain. 3 points is better than 1. 3 points is better than none. The sort of conversation we have about how did you do, this kind of conversation I like more than sort of conversation we had after Ghana lost to Egypt when we played such great football, in quotes, or after Ghana failed to beat Uganda when we played some really good football in Tamale and created a lot of chances but couldn't score. So I am talking the larger objective. The larger objective was to win. Unlike a lot of people also, I didn't think this was a particularly bad performance. I thought you had a team that really bossed the game in the opening 45 minutes, created many chances. I thought Ghana should have been up by more than a goal. In the second half, once the opponent got a lot more of the ball, you retracted. I thought that was more of tactical discipline in the second half more than anything, and I judge it based on a simple thing. I don't count the number of clear-cut opportunities the Ugandans had. Okay. I cannot, to my mind, remember how many times the Ghana backline was badly exposed. We limited Uganda mostly to huffing the ball up, hitting it from a distance. That's how you do your opponents. And within the context of the larger tournament, it's only the 3rd win out of 8 games in the first round stage. I say there are 5 other countries who want to be like Ghana. Be happy.
Vero, Michael spoke about the fact that we didn't take our chances. We should have scored more than we did, especially in the first half. Is that not the problem with the Black Stars? I
mean, we've always known that in terms of striking or strikers, we don't have it in abundance in terms of goals. It is why Asamoah Gyan is who he is, you know, because he's always banging in the goals. In his absence, you can say that the last 5 games, we haven't even won. We have struggled. You look at Asamoah Gyan, I would say that today I quite liked him on the field. You would think he shed a bit of weight. And I hope that it begins to count, because physically he looked better, he looked stronger, the goals didn't come. So you could always talk about the fact that we don't often get the goals. You spoke about one goal project, and I think you're trying to refer to 2010 Nations Cup when Milovan Rybak led us. So there's been tournaments we actually went to the finals on one goal project. So for me, it quite doesn't matter. If you look at the history of the Black Stars, for example, we have always been happy to talk about our midfield because often when the ACN, Montari and others were there, Halsa Samoa and sometimes Matthew Amoa will get you goals in between. The midfielders always provided that kind of cushion we needed in terms of getting the goals when we truly needed it. So for me, it's not just about the strikers. You would have wished that for the game that you have Jordan and Asamoah and Andre and Christian Achu in the kind of form he has, you get more goals. We created opportunities. It excites me because we haven't created too many of them lately. And for the first 45 minutes, I thought it was an improvement of what we have seen lately against Uganda. What's the point? You play all the beautiful football, the chances are not coming and you can't convert. Some may say that, but if you create all the opportunities and you can't convert any and you don't even score in open play unless a penalty, then what can you
haven't done much.
Yeah, what can you be happy about? But I'm saying that if you create the opportunity, a time would come they will begin to count, and I hope that it happens soon.
Michael, were we good or we just met a bad Ugandan side?
Uganda has never been as good as Ghana. The numbers may say differently when Ghana has played them, but over the recent years, so there was that game in Kampala that they beat Ghana. At the time, Ghana literally had qualified for the
But we haven't beaten them in the last 3 games.
In the last 3 games. Since before then, they had not beaten us for how long? I don't suspect for a moment that those statistics are a representation of how better Uganda is as a national team more than Ghana. It can never be. The quality of players are different. They may have a more compact unit, but this is where it always shows. So we've not beaten them, but when it came to the crunch, when push came to shove today, somebody had to win. We were having conversations this morning amongst journalists, and down to the last person who's followed Ghana football for a long time, almost everybody knew that today will be one of those days where the Black Stars may not play great, but the Black Stars will be Uganda. Because I spent a bit of time with the boys in Dubai, and there seemed to be this feeling that too much had been read into the inability to beat Uganda. I certainly thought in the game in Tamale that Ghana should have won, but that's why I say you don't want to be having conversation of should have.
Okay.
You bury the chances, you win. I thought Ghana should have won. I saw the game in Kampala where Uganda really are almost unplayable on their own turf. They know the pitch better. The stadium is madly behind them, and they always win there. So it was almost impossible. But on a neutral venue, one-on-one in a Nations Cup situation against a Ghana side, only second in number of wins. Actually, after Egypt failed to win today, Ghana has won 51 games, same as Egypt in Nations Cup history over a 91-game stretch play. So this is a team that knows how to do it in this tournament. If you technically, Ghana has not lost a game in the Nations Cup since that loss to Senegal in the first game of the last tournament, because penalties are counted as draws and everything. So you saw a situation where push came to shove. Uganda, I think, were a bit overawed by the return to the tournament. They read too much meaning into how good they've become lately,
and they were overwhelmed.
They were overwhelmed by the situation.
Vero, have we dealt with the problems that we have off the pitch? And I was listening to both of you on the Super Morning Show on Joy FM, and these off-the-pitch issues actually dominated the discussions. Have we sufficiently dealt with them?
I get the sense that we may have, because looking at a team, you won't say it's a finished product yet, but it's a team that won't forget about the fact that Ghanaians are not very, very happy with everything that happened in Brazil. They would understand that it is in their interest to win the competition. And I feel if there are a group of people who want the trophy more, it won't be just the supporters, it would be the players. And I so hope that we have dealt with those, because so far you haven't heard anything officially on the players not wanting the bonuses that has been arranged for them. And they should know it.
So they're not being sidetracked by anything.
I do not think they have given us any indication to feel that they are not focused on the agenda. I do not think so.
Michael, you think we have dealt with the issues?
Those issues, you never completely deal with them. They recur. I always say to people, if anybody tried to reduce how much you earn here, you won't be happy about it. So long as it's not being reduced, I think there's been as always, a bit of propaganda thrown in with the fact that the players say they will take whatever the state offers them. I think that statement is made completely in the knowledge that the state will not offer them anything below the $8,000 that they receive under Neil and Tivandapoi. Okay. That potential at the time that we were told, everybody, and I think Sonny himself would have known at the point, that it was largely going to be about 10,000 per game. Worst case scenario, it was going to be 10,000 per game ungraduated. That's still better than the 8,000, or that stays at the same 10,000 they would have received in their previous game. And you've got to put it within context. It's still one of the best bonuses anywhere in world football. So to say that the players say they will receive anything the state gives them was almost to say to us, they are not coming to the table with any fresh demands. They're just sticking to the ones that they have.
So it's a clever statement.
It was clever. It was clever, but I also think that it does speak to the spirit of the issue. In previous Nations Cup, there's been too many meetings, demands for 15,000, demands, long drawn-out demands. I say I never blame anybody for wanting that. I would have done the same thing if I was in their situation. We ask too much of them sometimes, and they've got to make the most of it in a monetary terms. They are not the only ones who do. So maybe sometimes they are a soft target for the sort of anger that we display. But what's happened in this instance is the players met the transition team at a certain point, as Alisa Hotel pointed out to them what they wanted. And unlike in previous years, it didn't become a recurring thing. So for instance, nobody went over to Dubai to go and meet them and say, let's have a meeting about your bonuses. I think a lot of it has been dealt with over the phone, which is strange because bonuses tend to be one of the most long drawn out issues as far as the national team.
The negotiations tend to dominate media discussions.
It tends to, and maybe that's part of the thing. Vero will know that a lot of the time, sometimes the bonus discussion is more prominent in the media than it is within the team camp.
Really?
Yes.
So
we make
us. We are to blame.
Yeah, we are not to blame. I think
we just want to do our
people. we do our jobs. People are interested in it, and sometimes the players really do. But in this instance, I think a lot of it has been made. See, you ask 5 players about the bonuses, and they say we don't want to talk about it. Okay. Of course, your job as a journalist is to consistently ask. It's the taxpayers' money that pays. There are people within the new administration who've had to ask themselves serious questions about how do you handle this, because they're fully aware of something. A win for the team provides incredible tonic for the mood of the nation.
Absolutely.
Being seen to overpay will be suggestive of the fact that for all that's said to be problematic with the economy of the country, whether true or false, that somebody is not prudent enough with the spending.
You still have enough to do.
And you've got a group of boys to satisfy. A group of boys who erroneously, for a lot of people, earn a lot of money, so don't need the money. When in truth, it's about 10% of that team. That 10% is even being generous.
That earn the big money.
10% is even being generous. So they need the money. We need to protect our public purse, and we need to ensure that it doesn't become an issue. And I think maybe somehow they found a common ground.
It's not a delicate, difficult, rather, balance to make.
It is, no matter how you look at it, because a lot of people will remind you that it's the passion of the nation, and people want the team to win. When they win, we seem to be in a good mood.
Joyous mood.
Of course, it would always be there because it's the passion of the nation. But striking the balance is always delicate. It is delicate because you want to satisfy the players. You want to put them in a good mood for them to be able to deliver. But you must as well not want to get to the wrong side of the public, because whatever budgets you have has competing needs, like health, like education, like everything. Even if you want to limit it to sports, the other national teams, the so-called lesser disciplines, because it's always a very, very delicate issue. And I have a theory. I'm thinking that we may have to decide and exactly how we want to approach these bonuses issue. Because, for example, I like to speak about a player like Jerry Akamenko, who got injured with the national team. And there is a coherent story about how we did not take care of him. And most players will cite that example. So can we as a nation decide that this is how we would approach it going forward, so that if maybe we decide we are paying 5,000 across board for the Black Stars, if a player gets injured, you do not have to dig into your resources at your national club where you don't get to play because you get injured, so that we take care of them. Because it becomes quite easy for us to blame the players because it is seen that they are asking for more. But given the opportunity, I would ask for more. I feel we have missed the opportunity to be able to be on the same level or on the same page in deciding how we want to approach these
Why
bonuses
did we do that?
issue.
How did we get that wrong? How did we get to where we are?
I
that
feel
it's become an albatross almost.
It's all
on our
begun.
legs.
It's been long. Players used to purchase their own tickets to come play. Then in 2005, we qualified for the World Cup. The nation was
for the 2006 World Cup.
For the 2006 World Cup. The nation was in great spirits. We suddenly had sponsors like GoFields and others come in. They pumped in money. The players became aware. And I remember this. It didn't happen until Germany that they became aware of appearance fee when they engaged with other national team players, and they realized they deserve something because appearing at the World Cup gives you a certain came with money. So at that moment, it was a bit obvious that to really motivate the players meant money. Because in the past, some players couldn't even get their monies back for purchasing their own tickets and others. So for me, that's where the story began. It was at that point that some of us thought that the structure we were operating won't be sustainable because it was 5,000 then. Yeah. Then it kept graduating, you know. And once we wanted the trophy, once we were so happy about results, we kept
willing to put out
money, and it's all ended even in Brazil. Yeah. Until Brazil, we could do anything for the results.
One of the problems was
including carrying money in a plane.
Yeah, one of the problems was that we, in the spirit of making the players benefit from their toil, the idea of the appearance fee from the players, and it was pioneered at the time, I think, by Otoado, was that they had qualified for the World Cup. The qualification brought a certain amount of money. At the last count, when we went to Brazil and got out in the first round stage, we earned in excess of $12 million. The argument of the players is simple. Once they are the ones who qualify us for the World Cup, they must benefit from that chunk of money, which is a sound principle. It's like saying to this station that if you bring in $1 million for your show, you want X percentage of the money.
I think even FIFA supports that. Yeah. Because that's why in Brazil they were willing to
it's a policy FIFA supports.
Finance it.
Now the mistake we made was not to draw a distinction between that situation and everything else. Okay. So we could have said to the players, your argument is sound, so if you've qualified for the World Cup, give and take $2.3 million to the players as happened, plus maybe an additional $1 million to the technical staff is $3.3 million. I'm not too good with math, so I'm not sure what percentage.
So if, for example, you bring in
12, you've taken 3, and 9 goes to the state. Yeah. We didn't think long term enough to draft structures and say $1 million legacy package, another $1 million insurance package. Out of the $3 million for the players, we didn't insist to them that because there are too many of your predecessors who've ended up poor, and I've worked on a few projects and I've seen to miserable depths some of the way ex-footballers have sunk. And even now, she mentioned Jerry Akaminko, and it's not Jerry Akaminko. You go back 10 years, 2005, 2006, and players who stopped playing football at that level. These are players
who are living in misery,
who are falling on hard times. So we didn't say to them, you know, we are earning you the money, but we want to help you survive. All we did was that we used that principle of appearance fee, picked it up, and juxtaposed it in other competitions. So we're applying the appearance fee principle and the winning bonus principle to Nations Cup and the rest. Whereas the World Cup earns you $2.3 million for just qualifying and exiting in the first round. The Nations Cup earns you, if you win this one, under $4 million. How do you pay
when you are measuring against the World Cup situation.
Exactly. So we could have said to the players, your principle is excellent, but we'll do this on a competition by competition basis. You could even say to them for the appearance fee principle that because there's so much to earn, $100,000, if you qualify for the World Cup, your winning bonus per match will be $5,000, and that you only get that $100,000 if you've qualified us for the World Cup.
So there's clarity.
Exactly, but we didn't do it because you know what? Too many people benefit from the confusion that comes with it.
Yeah, and I had to make that point on radio.
Too many people benefit from the uncertainty, from the confusion, from how high the players' packages are pegged. And that's why I really hope going forward that somebody is bold, strong enough to provide a lot of clarity.
Can you cut them out when you, because the kind of assessments you are asking
it's fairly simple.
Should be made?
It's fairly simple. For instance, one of the structures, and Kwesi Nyantakyi himself made it clear when he met the commission that was looking into the events after the World Cup, was to admit that benefits and honorariums for management committee members were literally pegged against what the players
earn. So like in Brazil, if somebody's getting $82,000,
it's shared among 3 management members. My policy is this. And some of those management members included officials of the sports ministry who are supposed to intercede
who are in government or
who are supposed to intercede on our behalf. Okay. My point is, you say to all those people, if you're a management member of the Black Stars and you're spending X amount of time in Brazil, you say you are doing a sacrificial job, but we know you must earn something for it. This is a flat rate. We say we should give the players take it or leave it offers. We must make the same to management. I can understand the principle of the technical staff. They are an integral part of the team, but even they must sign performance contracts. Do you pay them monthly salaries or you don't? And they will have a clear system by which they earn. In any case, if you're paying them a certain amount of money pegged to the players, apart from the coach, they don't benefit from it in any way going up. They don't negotiate with you. A coach negotiates the terms of his deal. The other management members don't. I'm saying that if you have management members within the team, pay them a specific amount of money, which was always what we used to do in the past. We fly you business class, we give you first class hotel accommodation, but we are paying you, for instance, during the period of the tournament, $20,000, $10,000.
Isaac Yesiama should be consulting you. Vero, are we not asking too much of the players? What we ask of them, do we require ourselves of same? The level of patriotism that we expect them to exhibit and demonstrate, do we ask that of even the people who elect to govern us? Now, I know it's a very controversial question.
Listen, when it's football, we all get carried away.
And we demand the impossible.
We do because we are excited about the results. We do because we have seen good football before. We do because we see it's a huge deal in terms of bringing all of us together, and I feel we get carried away. Unfortunately, the players look to me like a very soft target. Quite simple to throw anything at them. Whilst I expect really us to hold accountable the politicians, those in charge, because they are making the decisions, because they are supposed to be leading us, we seem not to be able to, because we are drawn on party lines and all that, and it's easy. But as for the players, once a while they come in town to play, and it's quite easy for us to throw everything at them.
And we think they have too much money. Michael said that. We think
unfortunately, it's a very, very common perception, which is untrue, because most of the players are earning very low salaries with their clubs. Only a few are making good money. Yes, yes, very low. Some under 20,000 and all that. Yes, some are earning really low income. So I think we demand so much of them. I wish that going forward we'll have the administration or the leaders that are able to really hold the bull by the horn and say that this is how we are approaching it. But all the issues.
I honestly don't think we over-demand from them, though.
Really?
I think we take really good care of them. I really do. I think we...
Vero has disagreements.
Oh, she does. And I get the point she's making. We don't... we are a bit pious when it comes to them. For instance, we say that, why do they ask for more money? I don't understand why anybody is asking, why somebody is asking for money when they work. I don't understand why we think they have no right to discuss bonuses. I've heard somebody, and I had a major argument with our own Songo the other day, when he said, why are they talking about money when they come? Why can't they talk about money? Why can't they talk about such an essential commodity of life, which is money, when they are going to play? But I think generally we take good care of them. And
only when they are injured.
Yes.
Only
but you know the injury bits, I want to be a bit sensitive to a lot of them. But here's the truth of the other thing with the injury thing. So a player gets injured playing for the national team. There are clear-cut procedures about who takes care of the player. What the players want is a bit of a human touch, and I can understand the argument. There has to be the odd phone call, the regular checkups, how are you doing? There should have been, for instance, in the case of Jaria Kaminko, a concerted effort by the team to say, because you are so close to being one of us, this is how we want to help you through your situation. It would have been a touching gesture. But within the circles, FIFA has a fund that pays for injuries within national team football. So technically, within the context, nothing has really been lost. The problem for most footballers is that it's such a deeply engaging game that when you get injured in the manner he got injured, or in the manner some players got injured, you need more than the technicalities working. So he wouldn't have problems paying those bills because the club will pay for it, but he will have problems assessing another club because they think he's injury prone. Take
Asamoah, for example. This
exactly.
guy, does he still pay?
For instance, Asamoah is playing now.
Yes,
but he's become literally scared of coming to play for Ghana. Yeah. Not because he doesn't love the nation, but he's worried about the implication of the injuries and coming to play on his next contract.
And he has picked a number of injuries when he's on national assignment.
And then his next contract potentially could make the difference between him living well after football and not living well after football. So there's a lot of things. But generally, I see a group of people who get the best of everything on national team duty. They travel with a chef, they sleep in first-class hotels, their flights are great. I covered, the biggest stories we covered in the 2002 Nations Cup was about what to wear in the team camp. That's how bad we were as a national team.
At that time.
We threw a player out because he complained about the quality of jersey. These days, they are packed like that. Your pack is there and everything.
So you wear what you want.
We've come a significantly long way, but we've left out the human element. When a player gets injured on national team duty, part of our job as a national team is to show a human touch. And that's what we do. We sit back and say, oh, they earn a lot of money. So here's me thinking almost, well, there will be an insurance package to take care of you. No, you need to pick up a phone and say, are you all right? Are you doing well? How is the injury going? How should it not be possible with all the monies we earn from World Cups and the rest to have set a fund aside that says to every one of those members who played in those World Cups, or we set a limit of caps that you've had. Say you've played 20 times for Ghana, we say after football, if you want to study coaching,
you can go and rely on
tap into this fund. We have a Jamaica international who is our physical trainer, an ex-Jamaica international. And you cannot really
in spite of all the people you produced.
But that's what I'm saying. The ex-players must be willing to apply themselves. But beyond that, the system must be willing to help them through. So England have introduced a system where if you've played a certain number of games and you stop playing, there is a fast-track system to help you through coaching, partly paid for by the Football Association. That's how you develop human capacity. Here, we're too engrossed in the 90 minutes.
Afterwards, everybody goes to sleep.
Go home and sleep.
It's all that matters.
Why is the problem?
I remember that in 2006, we had Tony Buffo with the team. 2014, we had Stephen Appiah. And after a year or two, he's not even close to the team. With everything he's achieved, how a lot of people or players respect him, you would think that he should have
he
a
played
role
a big part in Brazil.
Yes, to play, because you get people tell us about football people, and I don't know of any true football people than the footballers or the architects themselves. I feel we create very few opportunities for them, and it is even worse with the other national teams, because, for example, you even speak of the ladies national team, even the girls and all their coaches.
To talk about the ladies,
all their coaches are men. Meanwhile, we have seen really good players in the past, like the Alberto Sakis, Ajobayo, and others. I feel we should make a conscious effort to create opportunities for some of these players to be able to bring to bear whatever they have learned. I feel most of the issues we have regarding bonuses and others, if maybe some of these players had been consulted or they are made in decisions we have to take, it could change a great deal. Yes, a great deal, because their perspectives will be brought into play, and it could change a lot of things.
Where is the failing? Is it the FA or the ministry or who? Where?
Concerted failure.
Okay.
But more, I think, has to be a football association thing.
Okay.
I think, you know, they design the plans, they come up with a strategy, they will talk to you about pram, about legacy packages, but there's a lot more that can be done. The Football Association has the capacity to do a lot of things. It's got the money to do a lot of things. It's got the backing of FIFA to do a lot of things. We get FIFA grants in excess of $450,000 a year. The last time FIFA exposed their finances to the audited finances, we received quite a significant bit of money. We get money from FIFA to train referees, to train medical staff, to train literally everybody. So if you think up a good scheme, there's money to be able to push through the scheme. So a lot of it has to be, sometimes it has to be an acknowledgement that this is much more than about football. Okay. It just has to be.
Let's deal with today's game. Our coach, Avram Grant, he virtually sat on his seat throughout the game. Did that help or it didn't?
Van Gaal sat throughout Holland's appearance at the World Cup in, was it 2012? Or 2014, and they still got to the semi-final. So it doesn't make a lot of difference for me. It's a matter of your style, your approach. You can draw the parallels with a whole lot of coaches in the EPL, whatever. It's about what do you really want to do. I do not think that certain demoralized or had any influence on the game. It's really about tactics. It's about how you vary the game. So he's sitting there. I had no issues whatsoever, because the Avram Grant I know is the one I saw on the bench.
I was listening to BBC's commentary, and it seemed to me, and quite frankly, I'm not a very football savvy person, and I got the feeling that the Ugandan coach actually made better tactical switches than we did.
Tactical switches is how the game ends. You know how they judge a game. They just
because the second
they
half,
needed a goal.
The second half, they pressurized us.
They needed a goal. But I said to you at the top of the program, how many chances did they create? They were showing the highlights on the TV. Their closest opportunities were hitting the ball from a distance. In football, it really comes down to who wins. A few years down the line, Grant will say he won. I watched the final of the 2012 Nations Cup final again. We rocked the bar, we had chances.
We did everything.
We didn't win. Against Egypt in 2010 in Luanda, Vero watched that game live. We had chance upon chance. They had one chance, ball threaded through one-on-one against the goalkeeper, they score. So it's always what it comes down to. All they talk about tactics has to go within a certain frame. We were overly tactical in the second half. Our idea was freeze them, suffocate them as much as possible.
Protect the goal.
Which wasn't great, because by 70 minutes, we were taking out our striker, Samuel Jan, and bringing in. Very made an excellent point about Jan. He spent consistently maybe an extra 45 minutes, 1 hour, training with just spending time with a physical trainer. And he said something very simple. He's back from injury, he because he's just returned from injury, he's not as sharp as he wanted. He said he desperately wanted to be in the best physical condition for this tournament, and you could see signs of that. I thought he was.
Yes. Judging him from the...
He looked trimmer.
Yeah, recently.
He looked faster.
Then he jumped higher.
He did everything better.
He's always been very good in the air.
He was generally just more mobile. You could see this was somebody who really was in great physical shape for it. It would have been bad if he had not gone through a lot of that.
Vero, Michael was talking about he being taken out. Was that good or bad? Were you afraid at that point? Because we still had about 20 minutes to play.
I wasn't afraid. I thought that John was drawing a lot of defenders whenever he moved. And if you want to win a game, no, there was no way you can't do that comparison. Ajman Badu has an appetite of running forward, even when he should stay in the middle and all that. But John, yes, but John was drawing a lot of defenders' attention, and I would have kept him in the game. But what do I know? I'm a Sunday professor. You know, I didn't think it was the best of substitutions. I would have kept John in because his confidence was coming up. He hasn't played in a while. Suddenly, he's looking a lot sharper. Suddenly, he's getting the headers we hadn't seen of him in a while. And I felt it was always going to count at some point. And I would have kept him in the team. You speak of Grant's tactics, and I'm sure we could have that discussion all day. I cannot remember the last time his substitution strengthened the team. I feel his substitution is not the best. I do not think so.
Michael, do you agree?
I think to an extent, but I also think a lot of the time it's had to do with what kind of change he wants to make and his reading of the situation. I think he's just too often makes changes seeking to protect games rather than influence games in a certain way. You also got to think in terms of what do you have on the bench. We saw very early, if you watch the training, that Partey will start. It was pretty obvious from the way he carried the ball in training and the way he had more energy, more appetite. It was obvious he would start ahead of Efri Yakwa. But what was the key complaint about Efri Yakwa? The ball distribution was not great. He was not as mobile. So immediately in a game like that, if you're dropping one out and bringing the same person in, you know you're going to have the same problems. No matter how good Tete is, the former Samuel Tete is, he is not your Christian Achu. And I really hope today's game taught a few people a few lessons. There are still players in that squad who are integral to it. You keep an eye on Andre Ayew in because he can run with the ball to the corner.
Well, he can hold it.
Tete do the same thing. So yes, our substitutions when we are chasing games has often been very poor, and that going forward is something that Grant will need to consider.
Baba Rahman.
But he says the injury is not too serious. He's had a few difficulties, and the last thing I think he needs is a long-term injury. He's had a pretty bad 2016. Has carried it into this year. He's such a decent player. He said himself after the game that he hopes that it's not a long-term thing. But in Frank Achampon, I think you more than made up for it. My small problem is that Baba Rahman is such defensively aware. Achampon hasn't got the same attributes. So it can be a bit of a problem. So
he plays the left-back position, defends quite well. You don't think Frank Achampon grasps?
It's not the same. Frank Achampon is a versatile player who's got, it's like playing a Kojasama on your left back. You lose something. And when you play Frank Achampon there, you lose an element of the defensive solidity that Baba Rahman brings.
Vero?
I agree. Because here's a player who loves to surge. He loves to be in the thick of action. His tackling is not very, very good. You can pardon him because he's not a typical defender. He would rather do wonders when he's going up front. It is why sometimes I'm almost asking, where is the backup? You look at Harris Tanafo. He hasn't been that great in a while now, but do we have a backup?
I think we do.
We have a backup in?
I think the Andy Adam boy is very good. I think he's good, but part of the...
He doesn't have the exposure. Exactly. He hasn't played with the team. He doesn't have that
you
opportunity.
always need the right time to expose. So at this tournament, I am more than convinced that if situation demands that a Yadom boy plays, I'm more convinced he's equipped to play. But he will face a baptism of fire, and then he will have to deal with our slamming and criticism
and impatience.
He needs to deal with that.
So
he needs. It's one of the things that comes with the perks of being a national team player. I've not seen a single one of those boys say, "I don't want to play for."
Can
the
they
national
draw
team
lessons from Jordan? Are you?
Only I wish that the coach would expose them in friendly games. Give them those opportunities. Let them seize the moment. Let them warm up. Let them get into the cohesion of the
coaches
team.
Are beginning to fall for the same things that we do. So one of the things that Grant said was, because I asked him, "You've not won in 5 games." So he takes the time to break down the 5 games, and it makes a lot of sense. It's not the interviewer being sympathetic to the answer, but he gave the example of the friendly against South Africa, against Russia. Those are friendlies where after 45 minutes, you are making changes en masse. It's difficult to be effective in a game like that. He gave the example of the Rwanda game where there was a lot of fuss about who buys the ticket and everything. So atmosphere is a bit dampened. Did we play against Egypt? I thought so, even though I thought that we're like the guy who does all the foreplay but can't really have great sex because we were horrible in the most important stages. And
people didn't
Uganda,
hear that.
I know. and against Uganda, we did create opportunities. So within those 5 games, we had a set of statistics that we used to describe a coach. It's like we threw the light on him with those statistics without breaking it down. The pressure of friendly matches and the pressure of jumping from 35th in the world to 50-something is that friendlies have become almost like competitive matches. So the balance is important. The problem for Grant is that there are too many games where he can say to himself that I am going to demonstrate my trust in this player by putting him in. And he's not going to demonstrate that trust. You're not going to lose playing Yadom in a friendly against South Africa. But he becomes self-obsessed. And if you don't do that and you do that change at halftime when the team has dipped, you're always not going to help yourself. But we've had a problem with transitioning players. And it's something that we need to manage over a period.
I was asking about Jordan Ayew, and I was asking whether he could learn some lessons from Jordan Ayew, who
could
probably,
learn
I think it's Yadom, right? And I'm talking about, in terms of criticism, he's probably one of the most criticized about one of course,
the best person he needs to be learning from will be Jan.
Yeah, that's some Wajans. They are at a different level.
Yes, it won't be Jordan, it will be Jan.
But
because
Jordan
you'll be criticized anyway. Once we give you the opportunity, you'll be criticized anyway.
How did he do in this game?
I thought it was okay. I've read a lot of the reaction to the way he played. I thought in the first half especially, he was running down the channels pretty well and getting balls in well. In the second half, like the rest of the team, he was bad.
People are still on.
I'm just worried about
Jordan.
Him. Jordan has done 3 Nations Cup of 4.
3.
And
third one.
For often they would say, those who know him would say he's even better than Andre Ayew. I feel at the national level or in the national colours, he's yet to really impose himself.
Club level. You know, I think he.
Yes, I feel here.
I think maybe part of his problem is that he.
Maybe his brother.
I
think he hasn't churned it out yet.
Maybe he doesn't enjoy football as much as the rest of them do. He comes across as somebody who is just going through it. Who's just going through the motions.
Because he's still at that level where we have said that he has the talent,
he can be
he has the prospect.
At this time, he should have shown.
He has everything. It should be.
You know, today
be telling at some point.
When he got out wide, the ball he crossed that his brother tried to hit with the outside of his left foot rather than go across the goalkeeper with his right foot was a decent. He gets himself into great positions, but you know, there's something he needs a statement game in a Ghana jersey. The problem is that people seem to think he's so selfish. I don't find anything wrong with what he did against Germany. I remember Stephen Appiah saying at the time, 9 out of 10 players in that situation will try to score themselves. So I have always thought, and I also think that in this country we sort of, when it comes to football, you have our favorite players we want to keep an eye on and slam for as long as possible. And when it starts, it never stops. So we probably will never stop. But he really needs to be playing games with a certain measure of more assurance. You see, if he was not doing, doing this at national team level and blazing everybody off the park at club level, it will be a different case. But he has almost the same issues at club level. One good game today, 3 bad games the next moment. That's not a consistency you need for being a top player.
So he's still not able to outperform the day as the connoisseurs anticipated.
No. The day was introduced into the team in 2008.
He had the family who thinks that, but it comes back to the same old point. You can be in football, you can have more talent than somebody. It's like with every field. If the level of your talent is not markedly better than the other person, how you apply yourself becomes the most important.
Because in the day you see the passion, you see the drive, you see how he almost wants to win all the time. And in Jordan, you almost can't read him, whether he's short of confidence or he's unsure of what he's doing or he is not enjoying it or he just wants to walk through 90 minutes or sometimes he sleeps and wake up and he wants to do something.
The coaches love him. The coaches love him.
Why? Is it work at training or?
Coaches watch things in different ways. Okay. Let's say they have different eyes from us. Kwesi Appiah always used to say, you could trust Jordan in a one-on-one situation with a defender. A lot of the people who went along to the training camp before the 2014 World Cup knew Jordan would start ahead of Kevin Prince Boateng because he was just so much better than him in training. Remember, Goran Stevanovic did play Jordan in the Nations Cup of 2012. Equatorial Guinea in crucial games. So you're talking 3 different coaches. It cannot be.
They all have confidence in him.
It cannot be, but it cannot be just out of nothing. But he has to. There are too many games where you think, for somebody of his ability, I've seen him play games for Aston Villa where they need somebody to do something, and he just picks the ball and runs at people, and they bring him down, and it's a penalty. He needs to be doing that a lot more for Ghana. Take the ball, run at people. The consistency sometimes is lacking because on his day, I think he's a good footballer.
Because he didn't do more for Aston Villa compared to what they did.
No, he didn't.
With Swansea and West Ham.
You have to understand that you are in different clubs. You are in different clubs, different circumstances. And Aston Villa side that went almost 15 games without a win. Too many things wrong.
Let's talk about the penalty. This penalty. Cool, wouldn't you say? The manner he took it. There were people who thought that has Asamoah called out his retirement in terms of penalty, and would he take this?
He hasn't announced it yet, so I'm not very sure. But I don't remember the last time they didn't miss the penalty. Do you?
Yeah,
so he is very good. From 2009 at the World Cup, he took the first penalty, inspired hope in the boys, made sure that once, he would always seize the opportunity. He's a showman, he won't lose out on the opportunity. And I didn't see how he was going to miss today, or he wants to be scoring. I personally like the day. I like his attitude in the game. Of the field, nice person, but in a game, you see him everywhere, inspiring people, and he would push. And I feel that with all the talk about captaincy, is that the right word?
Yeah. Captaincy.
and all that, he did it right, and it was good for the team, for the morale of the team. This one would lift spirits.
He's the top penalty taker in the team. I think it's him, and then there's Jordan, and then so that's why normally in a penalty set, Jordan will take first, and Dede will be paying for the last. But Dede was very ice cool from there. Gives the goalkeeper the eye. I'm going this way, goes the other way. The height was great. He struck it with enough power. You can say that penalty is a lot of chance to score, but it's also you run the risk of not scoring. And I thought he handled it remarkably well.
Our defense.
I thought it was one of the strongest points of our game today.
Okay.
Our defense is not bad.
I thought we were good in aerial situations. We cleared our lines well, but we're not tested that much. I really think so. I don't think we're tested that much. and so it's difficult to read meanings. But I thought we were organized. John Boy's image has become the guy who kissed the money. Everybody forgets. everybody.
But he does more than just kiss money.
I think he's a solid defender.
It's fine.
I really think he is. Daniel Amate literally didn't give Avram Grant an option of dropping him. Grant said Amate is the most consistent player at club level in this team. You can leave him out.
And even at the last Nations Cup was his first opportunity.
He played in the first 2 games. He played well. And then Boy came back, scored, took it over. Partey is not regular club level, but Partey did so well in the training. Everybody knew he was going to take out one of the midfielders. So Grant needed to. But Wakaso is so good in the national jersey. You need that bite, that grit, that energy, the passing there. Grant couldn't play Partey and Amate in midfield. So he had to figure out a way.
He had to
and
sacrifice.
And the way to do was to sacrifice Jonathan Mensah.
Who is a very good player.
And who is my friend? My only friend amongst the Blacks.
Jonathan
yes.
Mensah.
He's everybody's friend.
Yeah, he's everybody's friend.
He's my only friend amongst them.
He's a very good player. He's one player I really respect.
He was spending a lot of time on the bench.
Yes, it appears he has.
But goalkeeping, are we sorted? Did Brahma?
He gets criticized a lot, but I thought today in aerial balls he was very confident. I thought he claimed the aerial situations well. I thought he commanded the area well. He came out grabbing the balls. I didn't get a sense that he was fluffing. But then again, it comes to...
What did you make of the Mali-Egypt game?
I thought it was
good
results. What I like the
intensity
of the game. I did like the intensity of the game from start till I had to come here and I didn't finish the game. I really like the intensity of the game. Whoever we meet will test us, but that is what I know the Black Stars like. They like it when they are tested. It is when you really see them alive. We didn't quite see them alive today after the first half, but against Egypt and against Mali, I think we should see a very good performance.
Can we stand the test in our next game?
Ghana's always been able to stand the test against Mali.
They drew Germany at the World Cup.
Mali is a good team, but I didn't see anything this evening to suggest to me that the Black Stars will be spending sleepless nights about.
So we shouldn't worry too much at all.
You have a right to be worried, but I think it's a game Ghana is more than capable of winning.
Michael Oteji, Veronica Kome, celebrated sports journalist. Thank you for joining us on this show. My guests have been 2 celebrated sports journalists. You can't have a better panel than I had today. God willing, we will bring you another exciting discussion on this. Until then, my name is Malik Abbas Dabu. Bye-bye.